for February 9th at 6:33. I'll do a quick roll call of presence, if we could. Jim Purdy. Hello? To do a roll
Susan
call of presence.
Malin.
David Molitano.
David Reed.
And Catherine T. Did you hear that Scott will be joining us probably in about, I suspect, about a half an hour or so.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've called to order. We have a quorum. Is there any public input, questions or comments from the public showing up at this point? Jamie, do we see anybody?
At this point.
Okay. I'll wait just a moment to see if there's anyone out there. No, I don't see anybody. Okay. So the agenda tonight will focus on two basic areas. The review of the capital budget requests and reviewing the tentative final, the tentative town budget that Jamie has been working on over the past several days, for the past week, and has sent that out. Does everyone download that so you have it in front of you? Or Jamie, you can put up on the screen too, I suspect, some of the slides.
Do you want to start with the full budget?
Well, I had on our agenda, we reviewed the capital budget, because if we review those and approve those are going to roll into funding some of those out of the free cash account. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so that's the question. Are we doing free cash, or because there was discussion that we wanted to do that with ARPA money?
What, all the capital? No,
Not all of it.
no. No, just
All right,
I'll
pull it up and then we can review.
I was suggesting just a piece of the ARPA money for a piece of the capital, but others may have ideas. So let's go through the capital request. I read them off at the last meeting. So have we decided? Let's go through them and see that there's approval or questions regarding the capital that's been put forward. More time. So in this, Jamie, you were projecting an approximate $800,000 of free cash. That's probably still your same assumption,
Yeah,
somewhere in that neighborhood?
somewhere in that neighborhood, yep.
Yep, okay. And last year, we spent $316,000 out of free cash.
And that was to plug the budget.
That was
286
right,
was for capital.
right. So the first one I have coming up actually is a $19,000 for the cemetery fence that the Cemetery Commission has presented to us and shown us pictures. It is falling down in parts and has a very detrimental look to the cemetery area. Are there questions or comments about the cemetery fence? It's a wooden fence for $19,000.
But that's coming out of the cemetery budget, isn't that correct?
Um,
I mean, out of their fund.
Well, what we have is sale of cemetery lots is fund utilized for the perpetual care, $19,000 for replacement of the fence out of the sale of cemetery lots is what I have in front of me.
Okay,
Okay.
Yep.
The next one I have is what we were just talking about, Jamie, Tom, is the Water Capital Reserve Fund, $100,000 for replacement of the generator and a pump house. And I've been suggesting that we could explore the use of ARPA money to use for that generator.
Yep.
It seems to fit with the ARPA definitions and overview of what we heard from Mr. Powers. So Jamie, is going to explore that
Yeah,
with Powers Associates.
Yep.
I think it'd be a great use of that money, and we could put aside the 100,000 in the existing reserve fund for upgrades, emergencies. Okay. Let's see, Chapter 90 funding of 150,000, which is a typical amount that comes through from the state. About the same every year.
That's correct, Jim. We all would like to have Chapter 90 funding going expanded, but over the past number of years, the governor has always been filing $200 million statewide. We would like to have seen a 300 million.
Yeah.
We've always campaigned for it, but it's been 200 million for a number of years.
Okay. So that comes into that doesn't come out of that's a revenue actually piece as opposed to
Right.
an expense, but it goes into capital projects, I guess,
Yeah.
the best way to say it.
The only way to see, Jim, that it could possibly expand, but only by a couple thousand this
Yeah.
year, is because one of the formulas they utilize is population, and we grew slightly. So the formula may throw a couple of $1,000 more toward us, but
Okay.
nothing major.
Okay, all right, great. The other piece that I have in front of me here is rescinding the town's received the 75,000 grant for the master plan.
yeah, so can we hold off on that? Because I
Sure.
know Margaret called me today and there was something else that we want to discuss with Tom before we bring that rescinding 75
Okay.
forward. That was Ryan's idea, so we just kind of wanted to talk to Tom about it tomorrow
Okay.
at some point. Please.
Let's see. So the fund, I'm skipping around here. Let me go to continue on with the capital request. And then Jamie, maybe you could go over the funding that you had projected some time ago for the funding of the capital, that revised surplus of about 25,000 and where that stands at this point. All right. Okay. Continuing on with the actual projects. So let me just say what was deferred that you've outlined here too, Jamie, is deferred for the next year or further down the road. Painting of the Council on Aging, the
No,
town hall.
no, well, hold on. We agreed in the capital meeting on December 18th, it's in the minutes. The committee
Yeah.
agreed to leave painting Council on Aging building in the FY23 budget to be further discussed. That's only $5,390. And I
Okay.
think we should leave it in.
All right. So we have a total number for painting of town hall, police, and Council on Aging of 63,502. And that number was what? I didn't have that in front
No,
of me.
that's
Just-
$5,390. We haven't discussed the town hall and painting the police station, to my memory.
No, because we didn't discuss it because it was a deferred. It was a deferred project, Susan. We had
Okay,
deferred it to future years. But the Council
Okay.
on Aging was part of that original discussion. So 5,400 for the painting of the
of the
COA?
Council on Eight, yes.
Okay, well, let's, if we could put that aside as part of our deliberations for actual expenditures of that.
Okay,
All right, I'm on the DPW from Bill Tyak, and now Mr. Shoes has agreed that this is needed, a 2008, replacing a 2008 Chevy dump truck. They've replaced the dump body and the transmission. They have concluded that the vehicle is at the end of its useful life. The replacement cost for that truck is $76,326.
could that be
probably one of the-
use ARPA money? Could we use ARPA money for that?
Well, I don't believe so. I don't believe so, but I've asked about that in a cruiser, for example.
Yeah,
And I think those kind of expenses, I don't think were incorporated into the ARPA discussion. Am I off on that, Jamie or Tom? What's your understanding of ARPA for those kinds of capital expenses?
Okay, I was here, Jim, early on when the opera money was literally for 4 subjects. Water, basically water and sewer, broadband, revenue, and I think the other one was maybe COVID related. I know there's been some expansions on it, but I was not really following it because I wasn't here. Jamie may have an update.
Yeah,
I
so
think
there,
in Mr. Powers' discussion, he specifically mentioned vehicles. So that's kind of was my understanding when he gave that synopsis of what would be appropriate in these at that selectmen's meeting.
yeah,
So
so
could
that,
we ask?
the interim final rule, it expanded on what we could purchase, and there's a lot we can do, so I just need to get a good understanding of what I'm gonna go and talk to specifically to Jim Purdy about, because there's a lot that goes into what we're purchasing.
Jim Powers.
Jim Powers, sorry. It's been a long day. There's a lot to go, so asking him, it's part of what I have to do on our end and narratives and all that other fun stuff. So I just need us to be specific as to exactly which ones I'm asking for, and then that's fine. I can put together something.
Maybe at the end of this, we'll collect our thoughts
Yep,
and go through those of what we're thinking about for ARPA money. That okay?
perfect.
So
That works.
we'll make a note on the Chevy dump truck. Okay. Then we have the lease costs, ongoing lease costs for DPW. The backhoe, 36,000 is year 3 of a 3-year lease. 35,000, 5 of a 5-year lease for the front end loader. And 31,000 for the trackless, year 2 of a 5-year lease. So those are,
I just want to say those are in the leases, so those, we have to do those because we're already in the
Yeah.
middle of those leases.
yeah, we can't break that contract. And those are all equipment that we purchase at the end of that process, right?
Jim, speaking of, if you were considering ARPA funds for any of the vehicles that were leased, I would check, because when you lease a vehicle, you're basically making a commitment going down for the next few years, 2 or 3, 4 years. I'm not.
No, these
certain-
are old leases, Tom.
Oh, these are old leases.
Oh, these are old,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
These are-
not new ones.
Great, thank
These are
you.
3 years, 5 years old and 2 years old.
Thank you.
Okay, so those will be in the budget. Out of our budget comes 85,000 for capital highway, road capital. Which is a fairly typical amount that we put in from our side, including the 150,000 of the state. Okay, back to the water department in this process here. $100,000. My
Jim,
understanding is,
Jim, before you leave DPW, you've got the last one of the replacement of 3 of 9 garage doors.
yeah, it's on another slide that I have in front of me, but I'll get to it, David, thank you. It'll come up. I think it's a $17,000 cost. At any rate, we'll get to that one, thank you. Let's see, the generator for $100,000, that is one that I would like to consider to be put on ARPA. It would seem to fit the criteria. We did the fence for the cemetery. Let me skip to what David was just referencing. The town buildings, DPW garage, replacement of 3 of 9 doors at the DPW garage for $17,000. Mr. Tyak, Bill explained to us that the equipment in there is open to potential exposure to the weather, and I think he even said potentially some vandalism, or it seemed to be a fairly significant need to correct. Have you actually seen that, Susan, by chance, those doors?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I take metal stuff there all the time, and yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
need to be replaced.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be a fairly important item for Mr. Tyak, Bill, to put in there. All right. Back to the order that I have here, the police department. And I saw that the chief was here, I saw.
He was here because he's going for a reserve fund transfer, but that's next week's meeting. He got confused and jumped on.
Oh, okay. Okay, the first capital budget request is for the ongoing replacement of cruisers. And the proposal is the replacement of a frontline patrol vehicle, a 2022 Dodge Durango. The projection is a net credit and trade of 18,000, and the cost being $47,557. And they do transfer, I always ask this question, but they transfer a lot of the existing equipment into the new vehicle. So this is a fairly standard every 3-year rotation. The second item for the police department was an upgrade of a key card security system at $10,500. As the chief explains, several of the readers are not working, damaged, or work intermittently. The vendor recommends replacement. And the proposal is for a smart card reader with fobs with encrypted security. The cost for that is $10,500. And I wonder if that could be considered as an ARPA expense.
Yeah,
That might be able to be.
Am I
and the
considering
fence,
the frontline cruiser as well?
If we can explore it, what do we have in that account? 1.53 million?
1.5, estimated 1.5.
Yeah,
and how many years do we have to spend that? Is it like 3 years or something?
Yep, till 2024.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna keep track of,
Yeah, I'm writing them down as you're saying them, Jim.
I am too, okay.
I do want to say that on this, there's included administrative vehicle at 15,000 for his lease and replacement of rifles. That's being counted twice. It's on here and it's on his general fund budget, so we can just eliminate it from here.
Okay, oh, it's in his general fund? Would
Yeah,
that
so
be,
that cuts 18,000 from this capital.
would that be paid for out of the free cash, Jamie, or out of just his operational cash?
It's under his operational budget.
Oh, okay.
Jamie, is there a better place to have it?
That's, I think it should stay there. It's not big money that breaks the bank, and that's where it's been previously. We went back and forth with Ryan of where he wanted it, and that's why it ended up being in two places at once.
Okay,
We still have, I mean, I can look and see if that can be included in ARPA too, if everyone wants me to do that, I can check that too, but at least for the lease, we're in that, lease, so that 15,000 we have to fund.
yep, it's the final year. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, the next police capital request is year 2 of a lease for the administrative vehicle, a 2021 Chevrolet Traverse. It's budgeted at 15,000. Proposed operating out of the operating budget. Jamie, is that correct?
Yep, it's under the operating budget.
Okay. And we're in our second year of a lease arrangement.
For police,
Do what?
for police, a second year? That would be, this is the third year that we're budgeting.
Lease payment for year 2 of 3, according to my notes.
I've got it as 3 of 3.
Yeah, I have it as, but you know what? I'm pretty sure it's 3 of 3, but I can double check. It's 15,000 anyways, but I'll double check.
It's 15,000. It's a 21 vehicle.
Yeah,
So my
So
guess is it might be year 2.
it's year 2.
It's given it's a model year 21. I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay, all right. And on the rifles at 10,000, at 3,000, Jamie, you said are in the operating budget?
Yeah, he has it lowered at 2,600. I don't know if this was off of a new quote, but I can double check that number. But yes, it's in his capital, in his operating budget.
Very good, okay. Okay, I'm in the fire department.
Hey, Jim, just to confirm, the badges were not in there?
No, I think those were in operating, weren't they?
The badges, we're going for a reserve fund transfer this year. We talked about that at one of the FinCom
Oh, that's
meetings.
right, reserve.
Oh, yeah.
So that
Okay.
will be on next week's
Next
meeting,
week,
so you'll
yeah.
see it, when I send out the agenda, I'll send out the request as well.
Okay.
And under police, the new fence.
That's under
Facilities.
facilities. That's
Okay.
under the facilities portion of these slides.
All right,
We'll get to it.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right, fire department. Replacement of a 2013 Ford Explorer administrative vehicle with a 2022 Ford Explorer at 45,000. Rust is showing. Mechanical upgrades have included brakes and front end rebuild. Radio and command tools will be transferred from the old to the new vehicle. What we don't have here is a trade-in assumption. Do
Didn't
they?
he say that it had no
What do you mean,
trade-in
like what
value?
the 2013 will get?
Yeah. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Scott, I didn't,
Sorry.
I thought that he had mentioned that it didn't have a trade-in value and he was
Yeah.
gonna try to use the auction, the government auction
Municipal.
website.
Yeah, that's what happened.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it differs. The police turn it in. I don't recall the fire department turning cars
Yeah, I
in.
think he said he was gonna put it on municipal bid, but what happens with that money, it doesn't really offset the vehicle, it just falls to general fund.
Our general fund,
Yep,
okay. Well, they've
Could
done
that
some
be
work on it,
ARPA
too.
money? Could we look
I can look
into
into
all
that too.
these, yeah, all these vehicles?
Okay, yep.
I'm making a note to myself. I'll be right there. Okay. Okay, continuing with the police.
Fire.
Replacement of 13 SCBA air cylinders at
So I have a question on that,
15,000.
Jim.
Yeah,
On the SCBA, the last discussion that we thought we had, we talked about it because there was money that fire could have gone to get for a grant.
All right.
I don't
yes.
know if their liaison talked to them about that. I thought that's where we left that off.
Did we ever find out why they didn't apply for the grant?
Right. No. All right, so I can talk to fire tomorrow and then.
Okay.
report.
So let me understand this, what you said, Jamie. We aren't going, the grant is gone by. We aren't eligible to even apply for that, right?
I don't know. I guess there was a grant that was out that fire didn't put for. A lot
Right.
of municipalities did. If fire would have, they could have gotten this covered. And I don't
Yeah.
know if it's too late. I don't know the details.
too late.
So, it
Those-
is too late.
Yeah, those grants were awarded back in December.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not sure
So
why.
we should include this. I mean, this is a standard safety issue for the
Yep.
firefighters, right? Okay. He has a note here. The National Fire Protection Association requires that the SCBA's be replaced at 15 to 30 years. All right. The library. They're asking for basically one capital upgrade, information technology at 42,000. And that includes 15,000 of network switches. The switches are looks like they're 20 years old. They must have been a part of the original equipment. Separate 15,000 to separate public and staff networks and install a firewall for the public network. That's 30,000. And to upgrade the Wi-Fi network. Currently, they have evidently they have a residential grade router that we use in our homes, and the upgrade would cost 12,000. So that accounts for the 42,000 of capital for the.
But is this just
Okay.
Wenham's share, Jim, or is this the whole
That's the
ball of wax?
that's the total cost.
Okay, so we shouldn't be including the total 42 in the capital number, really?
No, we should, because then when we bill, so like when this
We
budget gets approved, then we bill Hamilton according, but that's like our library budget. We fully fund it and then they give us, then we bill them.
They reimburse us their 64%.
Okay, so we don't show the net, but yet we show the net on the
Revenue.
roof of the library. So what makes us different?
No, we aren't. When it comes up, we will show our share of the cost, but we will have to upfront the cost, and the Hamilton will reimburse us
Okay,
for the purposes of that capital project, which is yet to be kind of fully developed. We will show the total cost, and then we'll break out what the Wenham's costs are and what Hamilton's costs are.
all right.
And then we
okay.
get reimbursed from Hamilton on the capital.
And so then we show the difference in revenue. Is that correct?
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
yeah. So that's the library capital cost of 42,000.
Yeah, Jim, to the general question of ARPA that was mentioned, is that supposed to be funding community-based services? Would
Yeah.
the library's infrastructure be considered part of ARPA?
Yeah.
Very
That
well,
can be a
Mike.
question for Jim Powers, so I can add that.
Yep.
Good question. Okay. All right, let's see, where are we going here? Information technology. HVAC software upgrade for town hall, police, fire, and the library at 32,000. And this is the question we had of an old bid on that. I think we were wondering whether we had a new bid on that. It was a 20 or 21 bid at the 32,000.
No, the bid was actually 28,677.
Right.
That sounds like ARPA money to me. Boy, I'd love to get this thing off our back.
Writing that one down too.
Okay. Okay, I'm making a note to myself here too.
That was the Johnson Controls, right? At 32.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
How many items now, as we're going, do we have to see if it will pay for it? I mean, we gotta be close to $500,000, I would think.
Yeah, and we've got $1.5 million to spend.
Yeah,
Let's go, we'll go through it as we finish up here, Dave. and-
okay.
and
I was
do a
just
quick-
curious. Like I said, Jim, it's just a curiosity question.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
formal, just.
Yeah. Uh, Okay, now we're at the townwide security upgrades, year 2 of a 7 community regional IT cybersecurity initiative. And I should know this, but did we pay for that out of that 8,250 reserve fund transfer?
I'm not muted. No, that was the initial. So then we have another 15,342 to go. Initially, Ryan thought that he could split that to 2 years, 7671 for this year and 7671 for next year. We cannot. So I'm changing that number to 15,350.
It's double the 7671, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And we're pretty much committed to this as being part of that regional
We are.
agreement.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now we're back to facilities. The police department facilities. Excuse me. Installation of a new security fence at $10,395. David M., you want to just briefly review that once again?
Repeat the question, Jim. I was multi-screen, please.
The fence for back of the police department, could you just explain once again what the concerns are for that?
Yeah, so I was trying to pull my notes up from the chief. It's just an old
Yeah.
fence. It's an old fence.
Well, I understood they didn't have a fence. back
No,
there.
yeah, for police, they don't have one, and for safety reasons, they want to make sure that the cars are their cruisers, and where they park is blocked off so that an officer walking to and from his cruiser or to or from his vehicle is safe. Right now, anybody can cross back there.
Holy senior moment. Wow. I'm sorry, everyone. That was,
Well, it
Yeah.
was also people were walking behind, if I
Yeah, to
remember,
get to grass.
behind the
Yes, anyone
police
has-
station.
Anyone
Yeah.
has access to walk back there or to
They were walking their
go back there,
dogs
and
or.
for safety, yeah, they need
Yeah.
to block it off.
They saw it as a safety issue for security of the police department building. Okay, so that's at 10. Is that an ARPA consideration? I don't know.
I will add that to the list.
Next time I'm on the spot, give me a heads up, Jim, because I'm trying to get my old notes to these notes, so I'm going,
Okay,
I'm going back and forth.
Jim,
no problem.
Jim,
Yes,
what I would recommend, I will probably be not working here when this occurs. But even though there are two different type of fences, the cemetery and the police, it
Yes.
might make sense to try to coordinate them when you're getting quotes. Maybe a company can
good
do
idea.
both types of fences at a, lesser cost.
Yeah, because you're looking at probably almost $30,000 worth of, right now, what we have is 19 and 10,400, so. We did the DPW garage.
Yes. I think we went over everything.
What about the count? Now, where do we stand with the Council on Aging building? Is that
Well, I
staying
got,
in?
let's put that in there at 5,400.
Thank you.
So Jamie, or others, can we just reconcile our lists of what we're thinking about reviewing with Mr. Powers?
At this point, everything.
Well, I have the Chevy dump truck.
The Chevy dump truck, we have the pump house generator from the water, the key
Yeah.
card, all the vehicles, the installation of the fences, SCBA, IT, and software upgrades, COA. Yeah, at this point, everything, and then we'll
And
see.
the library-
we'll
the
narrow it
library-
down.
Did you
Say
have the
that one more-
library capital in there, Jamie?
Library capital. No, but I
The
can add
40,
it.
the
Oh, yes, that
42,000.
one's in there. Yep, that's the IT
Okay.
upgrades, yep, for library.
All right, so I can't do the arithmetic real quickly on this, David M., but it's 100,000 for the generator. 47. 57, 200. You're right, we're up to about $350,000 or $400,000 in requests. Somewhere in that rough neighborhood.
Well, that would
And
help.
And if we can't, if his interpretation is that some of these aren't ARPA eligible, if you will, we'll come back and review that one more time. Maybe possibly next week when we meet with the Board of Selectmen, we can go over when we go over that. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
So as we go through this, my understanding as we went through it, we were pretty much, not pretty much, we were supportive of the requests that have been made. The new request is the Council on Aging painting. But it would seem to me that we could probably fit that in, given that I would anticipate some offsets from the ARPA dollars coming back in to help us with the capital. Maybe not all of it, but
Yeah.
certainly a portion of it to help us with the Council on Aging building.
I have a question for Tom. Have you heard of other towns kind of digging into it and using the money for what we're using it for? Is it still so new? There has been no talk among the administrators.
I'm sorry,
Right.
starting ARPA funds, David?
Yeah,
It's funny that you mentioned that. I was just checking it out, and I'm not getting Massachusetts, but I'm getting from some other communities in other parts of the country who have used the ARPA funds for police cruisers, trucks. So we can do some further research on it, but it's looking like that. I know Danvers is proposing using some ARPA funds to do a whole new website for the town. But I can do the research, but just real briefly, other parts of the countries are using ARPA funds for public safety vehicles and trucks.
okay.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Powers mentioned too in his talk that he serves a couple of towns and basically they're cities and they're taking most of their ARPA funds and like building a new elementary school and stuff like that. So it's very seems very diverse.
Yeah, yeah, he did mention it. That was a big piece of change for that elementary,
Yeah,
elementary school. Okay, if it's okay with the committee, can we move on to the proposed FY 2023 overview? Jamie has put this together. I've gotten back to Jamie with a few updates. I think David R. has. I don't know if you've had a chance to incorporate those. It was just, when you talk about last minute, it was like at 4:30, 5 o'clock this afternoon. But Jamie, can we walk through the highlights of the overview?
Yes, so I did have time to change them because that's how good I am. Just kidding. I did change them, but like David and Jim, if you guys see anything or notice anything, please, please, please reach out, send me an email, call me, anything. Because right now I'm pretty much the only set of eyes on this. So all of your eyes are welcome. Give me 2 minutes of just opening the file so that I can share my screen.
Hey, Jamie, this is just to make sure I'm looking at least the most recent old one. It was the one that you emailed at 3:18 this afternoon.
Nope, I emailed one at like 5 and change. 5.
oh, I didn't get that one.
5:52, that one.
Yes, I emailed one at 5:52.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't see that myself.
I have the
Jamie,
top-
on this overview, mine says FY 22, we mean 23, right?
Yes, we mean 23 and
Okay,
it's, sorry, just trying to open. I have so many tabs open that it doesn't want to open. Hold on one second. Okay,
All right, I have it. Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, I'm sharing my screen. I think. You guys see my screen?
I don't see it,
No.
Jamie.
no,
It's not letting me share my screen. That's great. I think, Tom, are you in under Nikki's? Yeah. I
Yes,
think
he
we're-
is.
Because we're both under the same one. Okay. I'm gonna have to, hold on one second. Let me see if I can log in under myself. Sorry. It's not letting me share. I think it's because we're both logged in under the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, do we know if any of the ARPA funding could be used for iron rail projects? So we would set aside a portion of it for next year, essentially. Just thinking about it, could be classified as critical infrastructure for the town.
We could explore it.
Yep.
Writing
I
that down as we speak.
Because it's such a large expenditure, we won't have many opportunities, I assume, to spend money from the federal government.
Can you all see my screen?
yes.
Okay. So I'll start from the top.
You
So
might
we
want to
had
expand it a little bit, Jamie, just to magnify it a little bit.
Can you see that?
That's good. Yep.
Good. Okay. So there was changes. So the last time we looked at this, we were off 490, just under $500,000. There's been changes to the school budget, which has decreased. There were things that were input twice, or there was departments that had money, errors on their sheets. So we looked at that. I went in to the departments and tried to, the 2% merit and 2% COLA, tried to change them both to 2% from their last year's and not 2 over 2. So those are the things that I fixed. Again, if somebody else sees number errors, please, please, please feel free to reach out, call, email, anything. I sent the departments over that had changes as we talked over the weeks, like police that had changes. So I sent that out. I updated that. Schools, town hall, which was, we had money in there for a floater that, but we also had money in permitting. So I adjusted all of those items that I had written down. But I'll walk us through revenues and then we'll show you expenditures. So here we have our prior year levy limit and then our 2.5% increase. And this is our projected new growth. And I got that from Steve, which gives us our total levy limit. To that, I'm allowed to add debt exclusion and that'll give us our maximum allowable levy. I kept the motor vehicle excise the same.
Jamie?
Yes.
Can I just, as you go through this, can I just back up to the new growth?
Yes.
So that's decreased by about 38,000. Is he being conservative on that, or is he anticipating? I mean, do you have a sense of how he came up with that? Because we have,
I think he was being conservative. I had it at 150 and he had me change
Right.
it to
Okay.
the 112.
okay. So we've accounted last year and possibly the year before for the Wenham Pines and the Spring Hill development pretty much then. It's already
I
incorporated
believe
into
so.
our tax
Yes.
base. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Our motor vehicle excise, I've left the same. That is someplace that I could potentially come up a little bit. I've been very conservative with our numbers, based off market trends and what I've been seeing. This, I've kept what we're getting on penalties and interest the same, our payment in lieu of taxes, that just pretty much is what it is, and that's what we have it set at. These are charges for water, and I've set the indirect costs coming in at about 100,000. Charges for Gordon at 15, our fees at 20,000. Our rents for Iron Rail, I put at 100,000 because when we first started this, we were still iffy with Iron Rail. We are back on track with Iron Rail. There's been some of them that have paid the incorrect amount of rent, and they've even made good on that. They've paid the difference. I've reached out to Lou. Now that we all finally know what we're doing on a monthly basis, I'll look, and if something's missing, I'll email Lou, and he's good about getting back to them, which is how we caught that other error. So that's been going great. That is some room there that we can increase that number. Judging by, I would like to wait another month or two just to, well, not another day or two. I wish we had a month or two. Another day or two, just so I'm looking at some other numbers, but that'll be one of those that I change at the very last second. Department revenue for library stays the same. Burials is staying the same. Other departmental revenue, we're leaving the same. EMS revenue, we're staying the same.
That
Licenses
looks
and permits.
light. Jamie, doesn't that look light for EMS? I thought it's using the 125 to 150 range.
I can check, but I thought we were pretty good on that one.
Okay.
I can double check that. So the assessments is, I put it up based on the increases. I may have to change this number a little bit because of inspectional services came in lower because if you guys remember, we explained in the meeting, Rich didn't take health insurance and that brought the cost down a little bit. So I'll have to update that number, but even probably like a few thousand. Fines and forfeits, I left the same, and investment income, I left the same. Cherry sheet offsets, I left at our number for last year, what we got in last year, because we didn't know what the governor was doing with his budget. He did release some preliminary numbers. Now that I'm seeing that, I have to update that, so I'm just gonna highlight that. I'm not too off, I'm still conservative on that number.
Back to the iron rail number.
Yeah,
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Jamie, but it would seem to me we'd be in the 135 or 140,000 with the current agreements with all the tenants.
we are actually a little bit more, but I was a little hesitant because we did start this year off rocky. So I didn't want to make the call to say, let's increase this. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
we were on the right path for 22.
Yeah.
I do feel confident lifting that at least another 20,000. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm comfortable lifting it much more than that.
I would.
Can possibly we take a look at after 6 months where we are with the revenues? Do you happen to know that by chance off the top? of
Yeah,
your head?
I do, only because I was looking at it today because I had a feeling I was gonna get this question.
Okay,
Give me 2 seconds and I will open that
great.
sheet up. Sorry, I picked up a habit of talking to myself, so there's that. Let me.
Jim, I've been working with Lou. The
Right.
number could be increased. I would not go to the limit in case
Mhm.
someone goes and doesn't complete the lease.
Okay.
As Jamie said, you could possibly conservatively go up another 20,000. Whatever you
Okay.
get in beyond that would actually flow into free cash for next year anyway.
Okay,
So
okay,
there would be a benefit. It just goes into our savings account.
okay.
I just think that last year was 20 was bad. Last year was tumultuous. And so this year I just want to tread lightly.
Yeah.
And so that's my reasoning for leaving it.
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
I'm not, I think that makes sense. I'm just feeling that we're moving in a very good direction in that. And that, oh, by the way, was that included in your list for ARPA?
Yes. Iron Rail.
Recovering past the business revenue
revenue
losses?
Yeah,
Of
revenue
our iron
replacement.
rail revenue losses, yeah.
It is now.
I think that would fit, that is actually one of the ones that I think are one of the easier ones to, that we
Okay.
can calculate and, yeah, okay. Okay, let's move on from there, and I just
Um,
wanted to raise that.
Iron Rail, as of today, they've paid $125,979.
For 6 months?
Yes, for
Can you
through
repeat that?
February. Through February.
Can you
Through
repeat that?
February. So
Yep.
for 8 months.
Yep.
Can you repeat that
So-
number, Jamie, please?
125,979.80.
For
8
8
months,
months.
What's the
so
arithmetic
why
on that?
can't we
Mr.
bump
David?
them up to
But
140?
Before I say
again?
that, that's because WAGs paid a lot of money
Oh,
in July, so it's
Back-
not a true number, and that's why I'm saying, but I'm
Yeah.
treading lightly, because it's not a true number, because they did give us a chunk of change.
They were that's right.
They were trying to
catching
catch up, and then
from the
they
prior
paid it
year.
before we decided that we were gonna let 21 go. So it's really not a true number, so I don't particularly think that I'm too much off of that 100,000. And I think
Yeah.
at least for 23, we should leave it at 100,000. And then we have a good year this year, and half of next year we'll know whether we can lift that number. But I think right now, it's not a
Okay.
bad idea to leave it at that. I mean.
Well,
if we have to
let's
lift
see
it-
where we are after we roll this whole thing together with, because we haven't even counted free cash and ARPA,
Right.
potential ARPA revenue and so on. So, I guess the statement to the community is, and to all of ourselves, is that's moving in a positive direction after
It
the
is moving in a positive
challenges
direction.
we had. Yeah.
Yep,
Uh,
and we're
yeah.
keeping a monthly eye on it. So that's
Okay, good. Okay, let's continue. Thank you, Jimmy.
welcome. Hold on one second.
You have to put your screen back up.
Yep, sorry, I'm just working off 3 screens.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I'm not the only one.
it's- No, sorry, this thing is giving me, I don't know why it's not working.
That's where we left off to continue. My only other question was on line 49, if you can see it, you left it blank just because you were waiting to, I'm assuming waiting to fill in some of the cells above it. Was that?
No, it's blank because that's what we're gonna use for free cash to supplement the budget. I don't have the free cash number yet. It's all into DOR, but she had a long list of people. So she said she was gonna get to it at some point at the end of this week. So we'll probably have the number for next meeting. I just don't have it for tonight. So I can't plug that number in until I know what it is. I don't know why this is not letting me share. I'm so sorry, guys. All right, I'm gonna move on so I'm not wasting time and I'll keep trying to click it, but so that's it for revenues. I'm just waiting on the free cash number to supplement that. We've been in talks with Tom about, depending on where we are, if we need to have a one-time transfer from assessor overlay like we did last year. But right now, we don't have anything plugged into that.
That was 125 last year.
Correct. Yep.
And that's not included in the revenue figure. You just said that. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not included for this year, but that's something that's on the table as well in case we need it
For 23.
for 23.
Oh, okay. And it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 125-ish again. Is that?
I'm
am-
looking at Tom because I don't know the discussion what Tom was thinking. Tom, do you think that that's accurate? Is that an odd? Yeah, I think so. Somewhere in that 125.
Yeah, okay,
vicinity that
okay.
we have available.
Yeah.
And then now we're getting into does anybody have any other questions on revenues before I go into expenditures? All right, so for expenditures, we've left the moderator at the $50. The
Wait,
select,
can you put the screen up?
I'm trying, it's not letting me.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not.
No, it's okay. I don't know why. I don't know. It wouldn't let me sign in as myself because I'm signed in as the host, but Tom is signed in as it too. So I think.
Well, you
that's why
got 2 hosts then. Someone else has to. You can only have 1 host to put up a
No,
screen,
but we're
right?
signed in on the same. Do you know what I mean? Like we're both signed in under Nikki's.
Oh,
I
Can
can
one of you
sign out.
change?
I can sign out for 2 minutes and then sign back in under myself if that works for everybody. You give me like 2 minutes.
I think it would be helpful to have it in front of us.
Yep. So
I
let me
think,
sign out in 2, and I'll be back in like 2 seconds.
I think
Okay.
the select board members would appreciate it, I suspect.
Tell you, multi-screening helps. Going back to free cash, we still think it's going to be around $500,000 this year.
Closer
Jim?
to 800,000 is what we're talking about. And then you
Yeah.
set aside 250 for the reserve fund.
Yeah, so between 5 and 550, probably.
Right, right.
Okay.
Very similar to what we had. What we
21.
had for 21, right?
I think that would be big for Wenham if we can get a lot of that 350 or 400,000 paid by ARPA.
Yes, yeah, it would. Because then possibly we could develop a reserve fund that can carry forward into 24.
Yeah, and then we have to figure out, because it's only a 3-year rolling, eventually it's gonna go away.
Yeah,
But at least we can build up reserves.
but from that, we could possibly invest in capital projects that have a longer term rollout for us and reduce those capital projects and over the course of 4 to 6 years.
Yeah. Trying to find my notes on EMS. It must be handwritten in a binder. I thought it was higher than 100, but
That was the numbers that were in 21 and 22 for this current year.
yeah.
It's
Maybe it's
not
a
even
roll-
letting me out of the system to log back in. I don't know why. I don't think we can be in here together. That's what it is. So.
Okay, so,
I'm gonna move on so that we're not
yeah,
wasting time,
yeah.
but everybody did get a copy of, select board got copies and,
Oh, the select board did. Okay, good.
yep, I sent everyone the copies.
Okay, all
So
right.
everyone has it. All right, so, sorry, I apologize. I don't know why this thing is not being the best. All right,
Jamie?
so,
Jamie, it's
Yes.
Catherine. I opened
Hi.
up another meeting. Maybe it's me. Let me sign out and sign back in.
okay,
Who was that? Catherine T?
Catherine T, yep.
Oh,
There, I just think there was too many of us all signed in under the same thing. Let me see if it'll let me share my screen now. No, it's still not letting me share my screen. Okay. Moving on.
okay.
All right, so expenditure projections. We left moderator at the same as other years, 50,000. That's. Hold on one second. Let me just open that. Selectmen salaries and wages. I just want to look at this budget. Is 111,703. Their expenses is 500. The town administrator salaries, I got a question on the merit and the COLA, and if we should take the merit off. I don't want to take the merit off of that salary line because of how the amount that we budgeted for on the job posting. If I put it for less, we're budgeting less than what it's posted for.
If
But
we
didn't you
don't-
budget, wasn't the posting, it was supposed to be 125 to 140, is that right?
104, I think it went to 145. Did I make that up?
One-
Is it 125 to 145 or 125 to 140?
140. That's what they said last night, but double check with Tom.
Tom, do you remember what it's, do you know what it's gonna be posted at? Or if it's posted at?
Let me double check the posting 1 minute.
Okay,
And I think also we have to put something in on cell T68 for the search, right?
no, because
No?
we're not getting a search firm. That was last year when we used Community Paradigm.
Yeah,
We're not doing
So
that
it's-
this year, this time around, so
Okay.
we don't need that.
okay.
Right now, Jim, it's the board and myself that's doing the search, help from the team in town hall.
Congratulations.
So again, Jamie, the posting was 125 to 140. That's what's out on the MMA site.
Okay, so I'll
And-
take off the merit and that'll bring that down, I think like $2,900 or something like that.
2,800,
Yeah, okay. So I'll change that. That'll update that. Their expenses at 6550.
Right,
The
it was just
FinCom-
confirming it was 140, just confirming the post.
Okay, yep.
125 to 140.
So FinCom expenses, we left at 250. The reserve fund, we left at 125. Municipal audit contract, I put up 5,000. It's just consistent with what we've done in the past. Assessing department is a discussion that I'm gonna go through all of this, and then we'll talk about assessing at the end if everyone's okay with that. Because there, we have to discuss what the budget's gonna look like as is, and what the budget's gonna look like with the scenarios that we've got from Hamilton, Wenham, whether to regionalize that department. There's a few costs, one that if we share the department, one if we just share a director, and one more. So we can talk about that after. Tax title, we left at 10,000. Finance department budget went down. I took off the merit for the town, the treasurer collector, and I put the assistant treasurer collector back to 36.5 hours. But this is still inclusive of the 19-hour position for an accounting assistant. And then our expenses at 27,950.
And so what's the
Legal-
total?
302,983.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Legal, we left at 60. I'm looking at Tom because I'll just need him to confirm that with legal to make sure that that number is still good. Information technology, we have between expenses.
Jamie, can I just ask real quick?
Yep.
With the legal piece, do we have in place, or are we going to propose just an ongoing system for reconciling their costs? Like Nikki Roebuck used to do that, I know, I recall. And I'm curious as to, once we reach the 60,000, or if we reach the 60,000 during the year, will we have a way to kind of monitor that as we go along? That's all I'm asking. I'm
For
kind of looking at-
FY23,
Yeah,
yes, because that budget is gonna be uploaded for FY23 at $60,000. And I am setting parameters for FY23 that under no circumstance can any account be overdrawn. So once it reaches the 60,000, the person will have no other choice but to figure it out. And at that point, they'll come to me and I'll be coming to the board with whatever I need to come with, but no, it will not be overspent.
okay. Because in the past, we spent, over that, I guess is just what I'm suggesting, and just a way to kind of monitor how we're using those legal services and what the costs are going.
Well, we did because there was other issues that we overspent the account, one, and then two, the system wasn't set up the way that it's gonna be set up moving forward.
Okay, okay.
But yeah. IT total is $117,161. That includes their expenses and then 13,300 for capital. Town hall salaries and wages went down because we got rid of the $10,000 for a floater that was I'm sorry, not 10,000. Actually, I think it was 10,000 for a 10-hour a week floater. So we removed that. There was one more thing that we removed from that, and I can't remember, but
I think it was the merit. We had
was the
included
merit.
merit.
It was the
for people that weren't hired yet.
Yes, it was the merit for the assistant TA's job. So
Right.
that's what changed those two numbers.
Or whatever we're calling that job.
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
However, we're using those resources, I should say.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So those are the two changes on that one. Sorry, there's a lot of numbers and changes today. Town clerk's budget is updated with her salaries and wages and expenses at $447,000. Land and use budget went up significantly because there was proposed increase in hours for 23 hours for Margaret. So that went up to 80,000. I think it was proposed at a little bit lower before, but now it's 80.
That was a change, I think, of $8,300
Yep,
for
yep.
the extra, 8,300 and change for the.
Yep.
And
For her
that's tied to the demands, if you will, of the master plan getting kicked off and working with the consultant and the planning department.
Yep.
Okay.
But her expenses stayed the same. Building and grounds budget changed slightly just because he was one of the budgets that had the 2% merit and then 2% COLA over. It was the 2/2, so I fixed that, so it adjusted his number slightly. And then his expenses have stayed the same at 173,395. Town report and town warrant books, we left at 6,500, and I think that number's pretty good. Iron Rail, they've increased just $100, so at 48,200. We've had Lou look at that and he agrees with that number.
Oh, excuse me, Jimmy, inflationary costs for utilities, purchases of supplies and so on. And I believe Mr. Souza was going to review that. Did he have a chance to review that?
Yeah, so he looked at them and I think they've been under every year a little bit. And so I think he raised his numbers by a little, and that change is reflected on here. So I have what his updated numbers are.
Okay. So that's, is that
He did
reflected in
review them
the,
and gave me the science by them and then gave me the numbers.
is that reflected in the 48,200?
Yep,
Okay.
yes.
All
No,
Or is it?
no, not Iron Rail, because I don't remember, he didn't give me Iron Rail. He gave, so I'll have Iron Rail looked at again for inflationary costs, because he gave me, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second so I can write this down.
Are the salary and wages in there? Or am I just reading this wrong?
For Iron Rail,
Yeah.
there's no salaries and wages for Iron Rail. It's just expenses. Shield, DPW,
Oh, the DPW
Does,
covers,
Iron Rail.
is in the
Yep.
DPW salary and wage for the Iron Rail?
we
For
don't
the
really
work-
have an Iron Rail employee. It's under DPW's purview, so Mike usually is the one that does the work, and then Sheila as the
Okay,
clerk for DPW.
so we cover
don't
those
have-
expenses under DPW.
For salaries and wages.
Yeah,
There is no salaries and wages for Iron Rail. They just have a commission and there's no,
well, no, I'm aware of that, but I thought there was some, okay, all right.
okay. All right, public safety, police have updated their budget. We talked about in the last meeting, we found like a $70,000 error that we fixed. That bumped down their salaries. Their expenses went up and their salaries went up due to Bridge Academy. That 17,600 here is the 15,000 for the lease and the 3,000 for the replacement rifle, the patrol rifles that I just said that we had to get rid of on the Capitol because it was doubled up. Here it is. The only thing I'm
Okay.
questioning that I'm gonna talk to police is on the Capitol, we have it as 3,000. On their operating, we have it as 2,600.
Okay.
So I wrote that down to
Okay.
confirm that number with them, but it's in their operating budget. Fire, their salaries came in at 481,230. Their on-call wages came at 193,800, and their expenses totaling 165,258. That is inclusive of any utility increases that they are budgeting. Permitting, I have the salary at 22,811, and that is the permitting coordinator salary. I changed the assessment number, that went down to 66,670. It was at roughly 73, I believe, and that's due to the health insurance cost that wasn't taken, and then the Wenham software that we use at 12,652.
So that's 73,436 is our share. Our share of the total cost of the program.
So it's not, it's
Were you
66,
good?
670.
Yeah, where are you getting the 73 from?
That's what it was before, but because we have the updated numbers from Wenham, and the decrease in health insurance came down to 66, 670.
So what's the total of that line, Jamie, the permitting line?
102, 133.
Okay,
Oh,
thank
okay.
you.
You're welcome. Tree warden salaries came in at 1762, expenses at 28,220. And then education, our education without debt is 11,554,340, and these are based off the numbers from February something.
Very recent, just this past
February
5
10.
days.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the last few days. I sent that out in the email at 5:52 to everyone, so everyone should have a copy of that. The debt went down a little bit as well. Total for school is $11,752,145.
Yeah.
I don't have numbers for the tech yet, so I still have preliminary numbers. I've reached out to them and asked them. Public Works, we're at 606,000 for salaries and wages, 276,800 for expenses. And they do have included 255,000 for capital in here. I need to look at that capital number and compare it to what was asking for here and make sure that nothing is doubled up, because I almost want to say that it is.
It has
So
to be,
that-
doesn't it? Yeah.
That I obviously missed it when I did my overview of this, but I will check that number and then resend this.
So most of that 255, if I understood you correctly, will be coming out of the
I believe so.
operational numbers.
Yeah, the capital budget and the operating budget have been intertwined, and I've been trying to
Yeah,
be good about separating them,
yeah.
but I've clearly missed 255,000. So
One way or the other, it
that's
should
coming off
reduce
some of it
the-
at least.
the budget.
Yeah, that'll reduce it.
Some significant amount of it.
Yes.
Okay,
Snow and ice came in at 36,000 for salaries and wages and 71,295 for expenses. The last few years, we have not been over what we budgeted on that, so fingers crossed. Street lighting came in at 18,000. Refuse came in at 485. Cemetery salaries, 4546, and the expenses, 6,938. The health department salaries and wages came in at 21,428 and expenses at 19,303. Council on aid.
okay, can we just hold on a minute, just for a quick discussion?
Yep.
I think David M. raised this, and I was thinking about this as well. We contract with, oh, for gosh sakes, our nurse, Beth,
Mary Beth.
King,
Mary Beth Ting, thank you.
Yep.
For a very modest amount of time, right? Is it 5 hours or 8 hours a week? If I remember the number correctly.
Yeah, it was something like
Yes.
that. But
Share
then we
my
found
screen.
out her salary was paid through the government COVID funds.
Yep. Because what we had her budgeted for before was what we needed her for. Then COVID hit, but we were able to pay her from the CARES fund. So that ended December 31st.
Well, I guess where I was going with that is we haven't had this discussion, and I don't intend to have a long discussion or want a long discussion, but just maybe we should be thinking about increasing her time. And I have no idea what she has other work or other jobs, but, you know, it seems to me that while things are looking rosy or better at the time with the whole Omicron incidents reduced and so on, it seems to me that we should think about that as going forward into 23, maybe have some discussions with Mary Beth and what kind of time might be. And I'm
Isn't
not even
she a
suggesting
nurse? I thought she was a
She's-
nurse at the middle school too.
Yeah, she's a nurse at the schools and then she does this as well, but I can talk to her. I'll try reaching out. And then just confirming that that number with her and Dr. Ting seems reasonable.
And it's not, I guess, actually, Jamie, I'm not talking about the actual salary and wage number. I'm talking in a broader context for future thinking
Oh,
about
gotcha.
time and investment and availability. And, you know, it seems like we might be just playing cat, but I'll stop right there. That's all I want to say.
No, I think you're right, Jim. I think because, I mean, if somehow the ARPA money or whatever it was, CARES money didn't come through, we would have had a very different scenario. And I think that all of these towns should be preparing for something like this happening again, because it probably will.
It's at some level in some form or fashion. I think you're right. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Jamie.
Okay, no worries.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm sorry. At a recent select board meeting, the board approved, we received a 4-town grant just before I left here, and now I'm seeing it moving forward with, I believe it was Essex, Rockport.
Oh, that's right. I recall
Yeah.
that. You're right. Tom.
And that is basically 2 full-time staffers for the next 3 years at no cost to the town. So our regional health group
Oh, right.
will be expanding by 2 for the 4 communities.
Okay,
That's an improvement.
yeah,
And it's not our money. Well, it is
Yeah.
actually our money, but it's from the state.
Okay. I still think it's at some point, not immediately, worthy of some discussion with Mary Beth and Dr. Ting possibly.
Mhm.
Okay,
COA.
sorry, Jamie. I got us
okay.
off track.
No, no worries.
And Jamie, by the way, you're screen sharing now, so the
I
spreadsheet.
know, I'm
Yeah.
so excited. So happy when it popped up. It's the little things. COA salaries and wages came in at 115,400, and their expenses at 17,950. Our veterans department is 16,022. I think the 4,000 we dropped in FY21, so just that 16,000.
That was changed as we went with Gloucester, the
Yep.
agent up in Gloucester, right? Yeah.
Yep. Library, so our total salaries and wages is $1,025,187. That's inclusive of, I'm sorry, that's salaries, wages and expenses for library. I updated all the numbers that we had worked on with Kim. And there's easy because it's everybody separated out, so you can tell line by line. Our joint recreation came in at 97,675, and I'm writing that one down because I just need to double check that number with the latest from Hamilton, because I think now that I look at it, I may have missed it. But right now it's at 97,675. Historic Commission, we left at $200. Our debt service numbers are $453,113,000. And interest for our debt is $52,482. Those numbers I know are right because we get them from Hilltop, so those work. Our retirement number came in at $952.14. That number, I believe, is the total between Essex County Retirement and ECO. I'm just confirming that number. I didn't hear from our Essex County, Essex County. I have a call into them. I will be calling them first thing in the morning because this number may be going down. This total overall number.
Yeah.
I just-
Jamie, can, oh,
Yep,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question on the town hall police station debt? Now, that's paid for by CPA funds, isn't that correct generally?
Not, I think in part,
Can
I
you
have to
look.
double check that? Because
Yep, I
I
can
think
double
it
check that.
is.
That was part of the whole funding of that some years
Right.
ago. That's a
Yeah.
good point,
I'll
Susan.
look.
It
And then I'll
should
get
be
back
in the
to-
prior, it should be in the prior year budgets too, Jamie.
Because we should be showing that then as revenue as well. I
So
know
let
that
me
the
look at,
CPA,
confirm that, and then I'll get back to everyone.
okay, thanks.
Yep. All right, group insurance, I called today, our initial conversation, they said budget plan for an 8%. I would suspect at this point, we have a closer number, so I did email and reached out today. I will try again tomorrow. So I'm hoping this number comes down a little bit. Right now it's at an 8% increase. And it was not very early, but probably 2 months ago that they gave, that Larry from Maya gave us that number. So I'm hoping it came down a little. I did our Medicare at 2% higher than last year, or $2,000, $3,000 higher than last year. Our general insurance number I have at 180,000, and that's the latest number that I got from Ryan. Typically dealt with the general insurance, so that's the number that I got from him. Tom, I'm relying on you to just confirm with them that that's a good number, please. And then
Jamie?
yes,
On the group insurance.
Yep.
Now, this is a ridiculous question, I should know this, but do the employees pay anything towards the group insurance?
yes,
And so is this the net?
yeah, that's our portion,
That's just
mean,
the town's portion?
town's portion, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Our OPEB, I brought up another 10,000 because that's what we agreed that we would do every year. We'd increase the 10,000. So this year it's 80,000.
Yeah.
Our personnel reserve, last year we did 60 because we had 2 retirements. This for FY23, I only know of 1 retirement, and that is officer. I can't remember. It's an officer in the police station that has put forward his intent to retire in FY23. So calculating what the max that he could get was about 50,000. So I thought to leave this at 60, but I can reduce it down to 50. Total for our water this year is $660,193, which I have at the top. That everything uploaded and barring some of the changes that we need to make right now, we're at a $302,000 deficit between our revenues and our expenditures. Obviously, this is not a true number. There's a few numbers that I still have to update and change, but right now, this is where we stand.
What's that number? 302, did you say?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yep.
Well, primarily impacted pretty much by the school budget adjustments.
Yes, that's,
Yeah.
school dropped I over 100,000 from where they originally were, I believe.
Well, from the number that you originally had is over 240,000.
Right, so that,
From doing the whole thing. Yeah.
right,
Okay, so that's 302,000 without making some of the changes we've talked about.
right. And
And
that
and
DPW
ARPA.
one that we just caught was 255, and I completely doubt that whole thing is different from this capital separate, so hopefully that's good
Right.
news there.
So that would reduce that 302 by X. And
Right.
it doesn't incorporate factoring in free cash.
Right.
Right. And I will send all this update. I would love to say I'm gonna finish it tonight. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm cross-eyed at this point, but tomorrow at some point, I'll resend this out with all the changes that we found as we've gone through it.
And the other challenge for us is saying where ARPA may be
Yes,
able
and-
to intersect with all those expenses that we've identified.
Yep, I'm gonna call Jim first thing in the
Yeah.
morning. To do ARPA. I'm gonna update this first thing in the morning. And
Okay.
send this out. There was one more thing that we asked of me. Sending this out, checking ARPA. Was there anything else? Am I missing something?
Sounds like you got a full morning to me.
So-
I brought a Keurig into my office.
That's smart.
Jamie, the other big one you noted was the capital out of the DPW area.
Yep, I have that written down. So I'll update that.
Is there capital in the police budget too?
Yeah, those were the two that we had, that I noticed already that we crossed off, the 15 for the
Okay.
3-year vehicle and then the rifles. So we
Yeah.
have that.
Oh, and then you were gonna check on the CPA funds for the debt for the town hall.
Oh, right.
Yep.
That's an offset. for
Yep.
operating.
Okay.
I should know that number. Okay, so if, the thing about ARPA is, while we've gone through this and we've identified some significant money here, do we want to think about a strategy or a plan of how we move forward into 24? In other words, do we want to spend, let's say this money, and I'm making this up to some extent, 350,000, for example, going into 23, which leaves us roughly 1.2 up into 24. I think there's a larger, an overarching discussion about how we use ARPA, and maybe it fits with the master plan. Maybe it fits with a long-range capital planning discussion that we've had in the past and how we put that together for the community. So I just want to raise that, because that would all fit with the ARPA money. And if we use it wisely, it could reduce our cost in 25, 26, and 27 to some extent, if we invested in certain capital projects that are eligible.
I think it's worth discussing and having a separate line item. Maybe we put it on the item when we speak about trash fees, Jim, but I think it's a long-term
Yeah,
discussion and more people should probably be involved than just us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
and it's a
sometimes
pol-
is a bad thing, right? But too many cooks in the kitchen, but this might be one of the ones where we want more input.
Well, and I also think that, it's interesting, and it also intersects with policy, which rests with the select board. So we got the finance, we got the operations, and we got policy. And how we separate those out so that we kind of are in our area making recommendations, and what part of it is policy, for example, that the select board need to weigh in on. Tom, do you have any sense of that what I'm trying to explain here?
I think, look, I'm sorry, okay, come on. This is, as you well know, this is my second term, being here, second tenure. And I've always come in the seventh inning. I haven't been the starter. I've been the middle reliever or the closer. But I think it's very important for whoever's chosen as the permanent TA, working with Jamie, working with our new DPW director, to particularly have a robust capital plan worked on during the summer. You've got a new DPW director in there who has his ideas. You've got a new police chief. You've, got your fire department. You've got a good maintenance, facilities manager. And I think that's very important because you will have opera monies left over. And from what
Yeah.
I'm seeing, particularly, not checking statewide, but nationally, one city just bought, in California, bought 3 police cruisers with it. Other ones bought DPW trucks. I think this is something is maybe utilize what we need to right now to get what we need going forward, what we need. But going for the next fiscal years, the next 2 years, have a robust plan where we seriously look at the items and prioritize what we need and what we spend that money on versus just, okay, this looks good right now. They may need a truck
Right.
2 years from now. Let's buy it now versus weighing all the elements and particularly having Jamie be a major aspect of working with the capital group going forward.
Yeah, that explains better than what I was referencing. So I agree with that. I think it's a planning process that we have to really think about how we best use that resource that's available to us. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
very important.
Yeah.
Planning,
Yeah,
you've got a good person in Jamie who's a very good planner, not a town planner type, but planning financially. And
Yeah.
you've got some new department heads who are very anxious to work with us and have a plan where the public, the finance committee, the select board, all understands the needs of our community going forth. So we don't get surprises. And, if we have, 1 million plus in opera funds to use in the next 3 years in various items, let's plan it out.
yeah, exactly. I agree. So Jamie, you're gonna do some work on this and get it out again tomorrow with the adjustments.
Yes.
So would it be, so let's take a look at that and see where we're all at, whether there's any other questions, because we do have upcoming, and Catherine Harrison will be getting back to me or to all of us as to the date for the joint meeting next week, which will be, I believe, either Tuesday, the 15th or Wednesday, the 16th. The select board has to kind of work on that and make a decision. Maybe they have. But I guess the question I have, Jamie, Tom, was, would it be helpful, would it be useful after we take a second look at the total budget for myself, David Reed, Tom and Jamie to get together just to sit in live, if this is okay with the committee, to go over the numbers one more time before we meet with the select board? Would that be a useful exercise? I mean, it's a question. It's less of a, it's more of a question, I guess. Should we wait until we see how we get everything rolled up? And how comfortable everyone is, how you're comfortable with it, Jamie? Because we still won't have all the
I would
numbers.
appreciate a second eye, because I'm working on this, but I'm also working on 800 other stuff, and in between I get
Yeah,
800
yeah.
calls. So I do
Yeah.
appreciate a second eye. So I'm up for that if somebody can.
What about if we think about maybe not a meeting on Monday? Because at that time, there's a good chance we'll have the certified free cash number, right?
Let's pray. Yes.
Well, and we'll have made the adjustments in the other line items.
Mm-hmm.
We might have a very good, a much clearer look by Monday if we went all over it, talked about it, and as we went into the meeting with the select board. That's what I'm thinking about. David, Art, do you have any thoughts about that?
There we go. Couldn't get the mute button working. I think it's a good idea. As Jamie said, that'll give us a chance to do a second set of eyes. My morning shot, and I actually wouldn't be available till about 2:30 though.
On Monday?
Yep. So that would give
Well,
us, to have all that stuff come in and maybe,
That's fine. I'm not wedded to any particular time on Monday. Yeah.
All right, I'm available from like noon time on with Monday,
Okay.
and the rest of the week I'm pretty much available.
Jamie, would that give you enough time to kind of pull what we're talking about as best as we have in terms of numbers together, and we could sit down and go over it and
Yep,
just maybe over an hour, take a look at it? And
yep.
okay,
2:30.
great.
why don't we
2:30.
say 3 o'clock, Jamie? That way
Three-
I can that goes from 2 to 2:30, and for me to get from here to town hall is only 5 minutes, but
So Monday at 3.
Monday at
and
2:30.
3, right?
So,
So I'm sorry, hold on. I just want, if I don't put it in my calendar, I'll walk into the meeting and not know what I'm supposed to be there for. So I'm just gonna, Jim, David Reed, Tom and myself.
Yeah.
All right, okay, good.
and the rest of the FinCom, you will have had updated, an updated document as well from Jamie.
Yep.
And then we'll review whatever changes, if there are changes, at our Monday meeting. We'll incorporate those in the discussion with the select board. Okay,
Good.
all right.
So when is the meeting with the select board?
I don't have the exact date yet, Susan. It's either going to
Okay.
be from, by discussion with Catherine H., either Tuesday, the 15th, or Wednesday, the 16th.
Okay,
We close, the warrant closes. It was going to close on the 22nd. Catherine H. informed me that we have a few extra days to close the warrant in terms of the printing of the actual warrant book. It gets into that kind of, so that brings us to maybe the first of the week.
okay, but we'll
First of
have,
the next week.
the members of this committee will have a chance to review the final documents and numbers going into the warrant book, correct, before it goes in?
Oh, well, yeah, I would like to have, I would like to have at the select board meeting, a pretty final document on the 15th or the 16th.
Okay,
Yeah, just to meet our, and then we have to put together, and I could, Tom, we have to put together that warrant book finance committee report,
Right.
and how we want to do that this year. I'd like thoughts and consideration about that.
Right. I've already put together listing of our articles. And
Oh,
more
yeah.
than likely, we will have no more than, I'm probably jinxing myself now, but no more than 20 articles.
Yeah.
Right now, I've got a listing of 17.
Yeah.
And most of those are standard, Jim.
Well, I'm talking about the actual finance
Right.
committee report, the
Correct. Yeah, I understand that.
language report too. We have a couple of templates that we could
Yes.
work from, I suppose. Yeah. All right,
but we'll have a chance to review that letter, right, before it goes out.
it'll be an exciting document, Susan.
It's about as
I think.
exciting as my life is right now, so. Okay,
All right. All right, if it's okay with the committee, can we review and approve the consent article, the consent agenda for approval of the minutes of January 12th and January 26th. They got sent out in the packet. I've made some adjustments to both of those with Catherine T. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to look at them.
I haven't had a chance, but
There was also two other minutes sent out as part of that, January 19th and January 5th. And those were approved at our January 26th meeting. So
Okay, I wasn't sure, so I just sent them all out.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
So I think I'm correct, Catherine T. We need to approve the January 26th and the January 12th minutes.
That's correct. The other ones have already been posted on the
Good, good.
town's website.
Okay, thank you. Very good minutes. I made a few changes on the February. Was it the January 12th minutes? I think, yeah, the January 12th minutes, I made a few changes on. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes for January 26th and January 12th?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Scott. For a second,
Second,
I'm not sure who seconded that.
Pick
David
it,
Reed,
Dave. Pick it, Dave.
Mr. Reed seconded the motion.
Sure, Dave.
Thank you, David. Okay, all those, and any other discussion about the minutes? All those in favor of approval of those minutes? Go around. Aye, Jim.
Hi, David M.
Hi, David R.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Susan.
Thank you very much. The minutes have been approved, Catherine. Thank you again, Catherine T, for your great work on that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I couldn't do it, that's for sure. Okay. Any new business unanticipated by the chair, by myself, for this evening's discussion? Okay, hearing none. So I will send out, Catherine H will be in touch with me, I'm sure. And I'll send out a note before the end, hopefully before the end of this week, about our meeting with the select board coming up next week. And then after that, we'll have that meeting. And hopefully have a pretty solid budget to present to for the warrant book, the articles. I think we should. And then what I would like to do is look at how we want to use the month of March. David M. has put on the table the trash fees as a kind of a beginning discussion looking at FY24. And there was one other, but I'm not sure what it is in terms of what we could also discuss at that point. But oh, we have the warrant. I'm sorry, we have the warrant, the financial article warrant hearing on the 28th of March, just before town meeting on April 2. So that's the other meeting in March. I think that's a Monday evening, as a matter of fact. So I will be in touch with folks, and I want to thank everybody, Jamie, Tom, and the committee for your work tonight on this. I think we've turned a good corner, and I think we're closing in on a solid budget that will prevent an override again. I don't know what the final number is going to look like, but between free cash and the reductions that we've made and the adjustments, I think we'll be in positive, very much in positive territory. So I appreciate everyone's efforts on this. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, David.
I second that motion, David R.
David R. The two Davids have made it and seconded it. All those in favor of, and at 8:21, we're doing pretty well tonight, given what we had to cover. Thanks, everyone, for your input. All those in favor of adjournment? Aye, Jim.
Hi, David M.
Hi, David R.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Susan.
Thank you very much, everybody. I'll be in touch shortly in the next
Thanks, Jim.
couple of days.
Thanks.
Thank you,
everybody.
Jamie.
Thank you, Tom and Jamie, again.